that will even make us to do this. We're going into the keynote and the plenary sections. I will be inviting Mr. Olusile Adekunle.
Africa and Nigeria, Dr. Olusile brings a rich and diverse perspective to our gathering. Please join me in warmly welcoming Dr. Adekunle Olusile to the stage.
Good morning, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and of course, the brilliant students of the Afeba Balola University. Thank you to the management of Afeba Balola University for organizing and supporting green hydrogen in Nigeria. Yes, I've worked for the United Nations Industrial Development Organization. The office is called Investment and Technology. My assignment this morning is to perhaps take it a bit further from where Professor Bamelele stopped, for us to explore this green hydrogen, or hydrogen as we say, a bit further. My hope is that I can start to trigger some interest in many of the participants here today. There's been ongoing debate in Nigeria about sustainability, hydrogen, and when I talk to stakeholders, the policymakers, industry stakeholders, and they're always talking about, oh, Nigeria has a lot of natural gas. We also produce petroleum. Why are we talking about hydrogen? Let's focus on these areas. But I always say, hey, the future will come, whether we like it or not. When I went to the university, I'm not as old as I am now. We'll get older by the day. We can't change it. So the same thing, the future will come. And as we see it, it's better we align to the future. I mean, just like the Vice Chancellor puts it succinctly. Sustainable future. Green hydrogen is a path to sustainable future. So, my presentation here, I stand on existing protocol as I go ahead. So, the topic I had is green hydrogen production and transportation. And I just remember that a few weeks ago, I was speaking with my children when they were on holiday. And by the way, I have a daughter that is a law student here, so I consider myself also a friend of the university. So, yes, sustainability, can we connect it to this hydrogen conversation that we're having? Because it's connected to our sustainability. We are talking about climate change. We hear in the news flood taking place, droughts taking place in some other parts of the world. It's affecting just to say we're talking about low carbon hydrogen. And the difference is just because we say, okay, green hydrogen is essentially hydrogen produced from electrolysis of water using renewable energy. But then there's a more dominant production method through methane reforming. That means the same natural gas can be used to produce hydrogen. But then if we capture the carbon dioxide produced, it becomes low carbon hydrogen. So that is the difference between those two. So some of the data around green hydrogen is about electrolysis. The amount of energy reduced to produce 1 kg, required to produce 1 kg of hydrogen is friendly, is clean, just as we said earlier on. But another important thing is hydrogen has a high energy density. It produces, when you burn, and maybe 3 times more than diesel and petrol. So it has one of the highest energy density, and this data estimates 120 megajoules per kg of hydrogen. So it's high energy and intensive. These are some of the parameters of hydrogen that we can see there. Like the moderator said, is the number one element in the periodic table. So this again talks about the connection between green hydrogen hour and industry and the ecosystem of low carbon hydrogen. I mean, you can connect it to industry. There are several products that I'm going to talk about later on that can be generated from hydrogen. But some of those products are currently being produced today, but the process of producing them pollutes the environment by producing a high amount of carbon dioxide. So green hydrogen presents an opportunity for us to produce some of these other materials more sustainably in a cleaner manner. Just to give an idea of what we are talking about in terms of economic benefit, it is projected by 2028 that the green hydrogen economy will be valued about $271.1 billion US dollars. We're now in 2024, so we are moving ahead. And currently, a large percentage of the green hydrogen being produced and being used come from natural gas, which produces a lot of CO2 emissions, polluting the environment, causing climate change and all of that. So just to take it further, I mean, President Bamidele talked about the 4 colors. Here I have 6 colors. In fact, there are about 8 of them right now. So the black is hydrogen that is produced from black coal. So you have brown, hydrogen produced from brown coal. Then the gray is hydrogen produced from natural gas or methane reforming. The blue hydrogen, like I said, is hydrogen produced from natural gas, but with carbon capture. So instead of releasing or allowing the carbon to go into the atmosphere, it is collected in a way, captured or stored and used in some other form. So you have the pink hydrogen, also similar to red hydrogen, but it's the hydrogen that is produced from energy source from nuclear power. So there is another interesting one, the turquoise hydrogen. I'm going to talk a bit more about it later on. So this, yes, fossil fuel pollutes the environment, but then we have the projection that by 2030, right, the dynamics or the picture of the hydrogen production will change. And currently we have a lot of gray that is still going to be dominant by 2030, but there has been some changes. More production will be coming from electrolysis of water, more sustainable, and then the shift will happen. So Nigeria, we are expecting that we'll be better positioned to be in line to benefit from some of these changes. So it is projected that by 2050, we are going to be requiring globally 585 million tons of hydrogen per annum is what the market. Currently, only about 100 million tons of hydrogen is being produced. All kinds of hydrogen that is being produced today is about 100 million tons and that is being used. And we know there are several sectors that currently use hydrogen globally. We'll talk about that a bit more. This is a snapshot of what energy transition will look like. And there is a projection between now, from 1850, our energy consumption to 2150. I don't know how many people will be alive by that time. I don't think I will be. But the projection is that population will continue to increase, and the red line you see there is population growth, and it will approach 12 billion. We are about 9 billion today, global population. And as population grows, the demand for energy continues to grow, and that implication, you see the green line for oil and natural gas going down towards, as we approach 2100. And of course, you see the line for hydrogen will continue to increase as we go into the future. And then there are, extensive economic benefit that comes with this. So the picture of the carbon market in the next couple of years. So we see currently what it looks like, the production of blue and green hydrogen per region of the world. You see the Americas, they are doing very well, as well as Asia. Most of them, they produce blue hydrogen right now, which means there is a carbon capture. I want to try and be a bit less technical, but this is a snapshot of several processes by which we can produce hydrogen. I mean, there are several of them that technology has offered us, science has offered us. However, we see that there are some that are preferred, that are environmentally friendly, which are the ones for non-hydrocarbon technologies. Yeah, so we have methane reforming, steam methane reforming, partial oxidation, autotech, you know. I'll move faster. Current hydrogen production efficiencies. So we see steam reforming, electrolysis are. So this is also giving us the idea of what the current production is like and the technology. I'm particularly emphasizing some of these points because we are in the university, ABUAD International University, and the Hydrogen Institute aims to also key into some of the technologies that are required for hydrogen production.
We're very sorry. The wife of the governor of Ekiti State is around, Her Excellency, Dr. Mrs. Olayemi Oyebanji. Please, let's appreciate her and respect her. She's one of us. She's a friend of the university. And she has been on the forefront of academic excellence in Nigeria. Thank you very much, Ma. Thank you, Ma. Please, may we take our seats?
You're welcome, Your Excellency. Happy to have you here. So, this is still the International Hydrogen Summit happening at the ABUAD International University. So I was speaking about current hydrogen production efficiency by different types. So the summary is that steam methane reforming, which is the dominant technology today, and electrolysis, which is the technology for the future, are the two dominant technologies. However, there are many other technologies that are evolving. And I was trying to point out that this is one area that the university can also focus on in terms of research areas. For several research institutions around the world, they are diligently working to improve the efficiencies of these other technologies that help us to produce and deliver hydrogen at lower costs and at scale. So maybe just to say a bit about some of those colors that I talked about and what it means. So this methane pyrolysis is, a lot of heat treatment is applied to methane, which is the main component of natural gas. And then it produces carbon as well as hydrogen. This hydrogen produced this way is considered as turquoise hydrogen. It is relevant for the Nigerian context because then we can then use our natural gas also to produce hydrogen. But again, the source of the heat, the energy that is used to produce this hydrogen has to be renewable energy. A company in Finland recently developed a technology where they are able to use microwave to heat natural gas. you know, the heat treatment comes from microwave technology, and then it can split natural gas, hydrogen, and then we have carbon. Of course, carbon is also a valuable material because it can be sold at premium and then produced this way. So you can see that there is a possibility to also have sustainable hydrogen, clean hydrogen from natural gas. But the technology is still evolving. It's still at the R&D stage. It can improve with further research. And I mean, it's a challenge to all of us, and particularly to the university. So, I mean, just the basics of what the technologies looks like. Yes, from coal, from methane, from electrolysis. And then still methane reforming, we talked about it earlier. But what I wanted to bring out from here is for us to have a feeling of the kind of pollution. It says that emission intensity of about 9.5 kilograms of CO2 per kilogram of hydrogen is produced from methane reforming, still methane. So when we use methanol or natural gas to produce green hydrogen, which is what is dominant today, 90% of green hydrogen that is produced today, which is 100 million tons, comes from steam methane reforming. And each of the kilogram of this production generate 9.5 kilograms of CO2. So you can imagine the amount of carbon dioxide that's injected into the atmosphere from the current production. So if we expect to increase to over 500 million metric tons by 2050, you can imagine the amount of additional CO2 emissions that will be generated here. And this, of course, come back to our environment, the droughts that we're talking about, the floodings that we are talking about, the climate change that we are talking about. So it is important for us to be able to integrate this carbon capture and usage and storage. So in the Nigerian context, I think I just covered this, the turquoise, the context of the turquoise hydrogen, and the need for further research in this area. So what are the drivers of green hydrogen conversation? We talked about decarbonization, defossilization, energy transition, which is all the conversation we've been having. Nigerian government is committed to net zero by 2060, which means that we are all committed into achieving energy transition net zero by 2060. Hydrogen presents a viable opportunity for us to try to move in that direction. And of course, green hydrogen, there are potential to produce many other products, many other industries that will be considered green can come out from these production systems, from producing hydrogen sustainably, and then I'm going to talk about that briefly as we go on. So it's also possible for us to use green hydrogen to produce products that can be used for long distance transportation, such as marine fuel, methanol and ammonia have been shown to work well with internal combustion engines for ship, for airplanes and all that, long distance traveling. So the value chain, I think Professor Paminele also talked about this. The idea is to use renewable energy used in electrolyzers, produce the hydrogen fuel, so we need to distribute it, to store it, and then we used to apply it in industries, also as transportation fuel. Okay, this is very important for me because I wanted to focus on why we talked about that Africa, there's an advantage for Africa and Nigeria in particular for green hydrogen. This chart shows the potential of producing green hydrogen in different parts of the world. If you see, in Northern Asia, is only 201. The potential is like 201. compared to sub-Saharan Africa, where we have 2,715. So you can compare this. Currently, Europe, the potential for producing green hydrogen is at 88. In North America, it is 1,314. So this is what people see, and they are encouraging us and pushing us to look at this opportunity that we can harness. Compared to other parts of the world, Africa has this unique advantage because we are directly under the sun. And capturing solar energy through polyvoltaic and other technology, we can then channel this into usable energy. And because solar energy is intermittent, in the night, you can't use the energy. But during the day, you have to find a way to take as much of it as possible and then store it. One viable way to store energy is through green hydrogen. So the opportunities abound for us to use green hydrogen to grow our economy. We talk about poverty reduction, reducing hunger. It has been proven, demonstrated that green hydrogen can support GDP growth, can support access to energy, and then this leads to reducing poverty, increasing prosperity, and all of that. And then it can help us connect with other parts of the world, because there are many parts of the world now who know that they do not have the capacity to produce large volumes of green hydrogen. They are looking for countries in Africa, and we see a lot of projects already coming up in many parts of Africa. Is it Southern Africa, Northern Africa, even East Africa? So we think that we should join the trail very quickly. And I think that ABUAD International is well positioned to support this process. And renewable energy is key to this. It shows that, some studies have shown that we require 510 to close to 1 billion gigawatts, 1,000 gigawatts of renewable energy to produce the right amount of energy that the world needs. Currently, Nigeria generates about 5,000 or 5 gigawatts compared to what the world needs. So we need to expand our energy production. But you say, yeah, but we still don't have enough. We don't have enough. Like I was discussing, it's an opportunity for us to attract investment, because the investments are coming, opportunity to invest in renewable energy, they are expanding every day. And then if we are able to attract those kind of investments, find partners all over the world, whether it's Europe, Japan, South Korea, China, they are all looking for opportunities to engage in sustainable production. So 70% of most of the investment in green hydrogen also goes into the production of renewable energy. So these are some of the snapshots of some of the renewable energy that is applicable to production of green hydrogen, and we have the potential in Nigeria. I keep telling policymakers that I engage with, Nigeria has enormous amount of biomass that we are not currently utilizing. They are not optimally utilized. UNIDO did a study together with the Ministry of Environment, and we estimate that there are about 45 million tons of biomass available that is just not optimally utilized in Nigeria today. This can be used to produce a whole lot of energy that can then be stored in form of green hydrogen. Geothermal. There are studies that have shown that there are potentials in different parts of the country where we can achieve geothermal energy, wind energy as well, wave and hydroelectric power. We are already using that a lot. But there are several dams. Yesterday we were talking to the founder, Chief ABUAD, and they mentioned that there are some small hydro projects or small hydro facilities already in ABUAD University that is currently deployed for some of the energy supply to the university. I think this can be scaled up all over the country. We have small water bodies, streams, and flowing water from which we can generate a lot of small hydropower from, and we should continue to expand on these opportunities. McKinsey, in one of their studies, recent studies, they reported that to achieve net zero by 2050, there's a global requirement to invest about $9.5 trillion annually. I'm thinking, each time I see this data, I'm thinking how much of this will come to Nigeria. But it is there for the taking if we want to. Okay, so some of those industries that are relevant to Nigeria that are currently using green hydrogen, steel, fertilizer. Fertilizer, the process for producing fertilizer, you need ammonia. Ammonia is just the herbal process wherein you combine nitrogen and hydrogen, and then you form ammonia, and then ammonia is used to produce urea. Currently, we still don't have sufficient amount of fertilizer in Nigeria because farmers can't find enough fertilizers to use for their farms. So these are all opportunities, and then we can do it sustainably. I won't go over electrolysis. I think Professor Bamidele talked about that quite a bit. So that there are three electrolysis systems that I wanted to highlight. You have the alkaline electrolysis, you have the protein exchange membrane, and you have the solid oxide cells, electrolyzer cells. So those are the three major technologies that are used today that are scalable for the production of electrolysis green hydrogen. Okay, and then the three technologies I talked about, these are their parameters. Some are more advantageous in certain areas where we have waste heat. You can use them more efficiently. You can scale in certain areas depending on the properties and available resources in different locations. And they all have different levels of efficiency. Just to highlight, each of these technologies also have interesting areas where research is still needed to improve technologies, to improve processes, to improve efficiencies for whether it's catalysis, whether it's system stability, faster dynamics for the production systems. So these are all interesting areas that researchers and academics are really looking to developing improvement and research on. As the director of the Hydrogen Institute mentioned, Professor Afolalu. These are also suggestions about research areas. But there's somewhere I want to get to quickly because they are important for our conversation. So hydrogen storage, there are also several technologies that have been developed that allows to store hydrogen for a long time. So you have several storage technologies that I've highlighted here, whether it's as compressed gas, as liquefaction. So energy can be stored and transported as in liquid form. Ammonia is the biggest market today for hydrogen. It requires about 50 million tons of hydrogen. Hydrogen storage. So those are also some of the technologies that we have. We have ammonia, we have methanol. Each of these, I'm told that my time is almost up. Maybe I'll just round up in about 1 minute. Okay, so yeah, just to highlight some of the technologies that are going on all over the world. Again, like I said, is to trigger some thought in us to see what are the challenges in this field and what we need to do. I wanted to briefly talk about P2X. Okay, so yeah, we'll continue all of this in the workshop, I'm told. Just for our audience, yes. Okay, so this P2X is possible to produce many chemical materials from hydrogen. One of it is lactic acid, isoprene, terpene. These are high-value chemicals that if we produce green hydrogen, we can then go ahead to produce some of these products that can generate a lot of revenue for us as a country. Thank you for your audience. So we'll take you further in the workshop session. We'll be able to talk about all of these potentials that are enormous for the country. Thank you very much.
Let's give him a round of applause once again. Thank you so much, Dr. Olusile Adekunle.